Can I have your attention, please? Calling all new moms, seasoned moms, soon-to-be moms, and all you mamas in between.
Welcome to the Mom Friends Podcast. I am your host, Rach, and I am so happy to have you here. I hope this podcast gives you conversations that help you to not feel so alone. Because even though it seems like we're surrounded by bodies 24/7, motherhood can still feel really lonely at times. And how are we supposed to know all this stuff? Join us for conversations where we keep it real, keep it honest, and maybe even get a little controversial. There's only one little catch. This is a safe space and there is no room for judgment or mom shaming. So let's all be kind, keep an open mind, and enjoy ourselves. Let's get into it. Woohoo! We're going. Hi, Peachy Mamas. Welcome to Mom Friends. Today, we are talking about probably the most talked about mom topic, probably the most controversial at times, and that is breastfeeding versus formula feeding. Which one are we doing? Who gives a fuck? But we're going to get into it. Today, to help me, I have my good friend, Emily. Hi, Emily. Welcome.
Hello.
Just maybe to start, give us who you are, how many kids you have, their ages. If you're comfortable sharing their name, that would be great. Yeah. But if not, who are you?
So I am Emily. I go by Emmy though, usually. I have a fiance of almost a year now, but we've been together for almost 9 now.
Oh my gosh.
We have one daughter. Her name is Aurora, which usually people call her Rory. We call her Rory.
I love that name so much.
I know, right?
It's so good.
And she will be 3 in September. So she's growing fast. Scary fast.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Aurora Emerald Lynn is her name, which I love.
I love that. I love that.
It's my favorite.
Okay, I just want to dive right in. So you solely breastfed Rory, right?
Oh yeah, never had formula, always breastfeeding.
Wow.
I think we bought maybe one thing of formula just because I wasn't 100% sure after we took her home, but
yeah,
I don't think we ever touched it. I think it just kind of sat there and then we strictly breastfed.
And how long for?
Breastfeeding?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I just stopped about maybe 2 weeks ago tops, so 2.5 years old. Yeah, so I breastfed it was after she turned about 2 years old, it was slower, so it was only really before she would want to go to bed, which I always did that when she was a newborn. I breastfed her so she would be calm, which I honestly do kind of regret a little bit. So then she kind of just grew up used to that. Mm-hmm. So I did keep breastfeeding consistently. And then for the past this year and then a little bit from last year, slowed it down a little bit here and there. But it was up until a couple weeks ago that I breastfed strictly. Wow. And then obviously with solid foods, she's almost 3.
Oh, but, for sure.
Yeah.
So when she was eating after 1, did you was it kind of when she got fussy or?
It was more so right before sleep. So before her nap, she would have a little bit. Before bed, she would have a little bit. And then
would she ask for it or was
yes.
it? Yeah, really?
That's what kind of was
oh man.
I was kind of you know what? This is time.
What did a 2-year-old say? Give me the boobie. What?
Yeah, milk, mommy's milk.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah. And
was she drinking whole milk?
She has, but not too much. Now she is a lot more. 1% I think of cow's milk. But
okay.
So yeah, now she's doing a lot more.
That's incredible.
Strictly mom's milk for a long time.
That's amazing that your body allowed you to do that for so long. Because I know so many women struggle.
Yeah.
Or even if they don't, there's that okay, you have to stop after a year stigma, and it's you're scared to even say if you don't because you're afraid of being judged, which is ridiculous, but it's true.
Yep. Yeah, literally.
Mom shaming is fucking real. It's disgusting.
It's so horrible. If just be a mom to your own kid, be the best mom you can be, and just leave other moms out of your thoughts. And I mean, I guess you can think of your own thing about them, but just keep it to yourself, maybe. Unless
totally, it's okay to be okay, this mom's doing this. That's not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's their life. They're not harming their child. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yes,
it's if you're not putting your child in harm's way, fuck off.
Yeah, literally.
Who cares?
Literally.
What other moms do.
Exactly.
Whatever works for you and your family, I think is the most important thing.
Yep.
you know?
Yep. So yeah, there is that stigma, like, to stop after a year because they're going to get too old. They're going to start realizing, like, oh, this is from mommy's boobs, like, and whatever. But like, I just try not to think about that. I was just like, you know what? If this is working for me and her, I'm going to do it as long as I need to do it. And now that I'm like, I've cut it off, she hasn't cried for it. She hasn't begged for it. She was ready.
It was the moment.
And it was like, my body was ready. And back in the past, if I didn't breastfeed her for like, say, 2 days, if she was away at someone's house or her grandparents' house, they would really start to hurt really, really bad. But ever since I stopped, they didn't.
Oh my God. So you and her were ready.
We were both ready.
You know, you
just know.
As a mom, just know your instinct. Your kid knows.
Yeah.
And that literally just proves the point of like, you have to do what's best for you and your family.
Exactly.
But I want to like roll back to the beginning for a second. Like when you're pregnant, what was your thoughts? Like, were you like, I for sure want to breastfeed no matter what it takes, that's what I'm going to do? Or were you like, I don't really have a plan, whatever the fuck happens? Or what was your mindset? I want to know.
So literally as soon as I figured out I was pregnant, I said I wanted to breastfeed. I know that it doesn't work for everyone, obviously. Yeah. It's hard sometimes, you don't produce enough milk or they don't latch properly.
For sure.
But I always said I wanted to breastfeed. I was breastfed. All my siblings were breastfed.
Okay.
So I always wanted to breastfeed.
So also, what you knew.
It's always like, I always just found like, it's just easier that way. Obviously, formula is so expensive, like insanely expensive. Yeah. And so I always just thought it was kind of like a bonding thing also. So I did always want to try to breastfeed. And if it wouldn't work or if it didn't work, obviously we would have just
figured it out.
Yeah. Fed is best. So we would have done formula or whatnot. But yeah.
But you definitely had it in your head, like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then she was born, and did you have like easy time latching? Your milk supply was good? Like, what was your experience?
So she was in the hospital for about 3 days after she was born because she had a little bit of low blood sugar.
Okay.
But it was getting better and better as the days went on. So she wasn't in any like
distress.
Yeah, no, she was okay. But during those few days, it was very hard. She wasn't latching the best. So I would have to pump with the pumps they gave me. And I was actually producing quite a bit of milk, and they were honestly shocked at it. They were like, this is like, for a first time mom, as soon as you give birth, like, this is a
you were just fucking dripping, eh?
Literally, like, it was coming out. It was in the bottles pretty full.
I love that for you.
And so she wouldn't properly latch onto me, but she was taking those bottles of breast milk perfectly fine. So yeah, like, I was producing quite a bit of milk, and I never had an issue with that.
With your supply?
Never. Literally since up until a couple weeks ago, it was coming out perfectly fine.
Wow.
So like at the hospital, it was completely fine. It was coming out, and
yeah. But she just wasn't latching.
Exactly. So we had a teacher kind of to go on the boob to latch properly and not just take the little bottles, the ones from like the hospital, like the little tiny bottles. She would do that and not properly latch onto me, but eventually she got the hang of it and started doing it completely fine. And so we went home and had a breastfed baby, and she was never had an issue after that.
Amazing.
Never had an issue with latching or anything like that.
Amazing. You're so lucky.
It was very nice. I'm very
grateful.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
Grateful that.
Did you like pump at all? Like, did you use bottles so that Jeff could feed? Did you do anything like? Yeah, you did do that.
Yeah. So I have a pump still. I haven't touched it in like months and months, but I would pump a lot, especially because I had such an overflow of the milk or whatever you would call that. So
oversupply, I guess.
Yes, that I had to pump a lot. So we would have bottles in the freezer, in the fridge, and then that way Jeff could feed her.
Right.
Whenever, if I was like sleeping or just exhausted, because it's fucking tiring.
Oh my God.
But
preach.
Like I was pumping a lot.
I love that for you. That's awesome. Oh my. Yeah. Okay. Back to work. So you were pumping. How often were you pumping?
A lot. So like,
holy shit, and feeding at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So literally I was making so much milk, producing so much that the doctors were like shocked, and they were even like pumping me up. Like, we're so proud of you. Aww. Like, I know it's like, it's your body doing it, not your brain, but like, it's so much milk. It's so good that you're like producing this much. And so I would breastfeed her and then still have to pump afterwards, almost like, because she was a newborn. She didn't drink obviously that much, but
yeah, for sure.
Like, it was insane how much I had to pump and breastfeed. Like, it was insane, especially before she was eating any solid foods, and that's strictly what she would have.
Totally.
It was insane. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you wanted to quit? Like, this is too much for my body. This is too much for my mental. Like, what was running through your head in those moments?
Honestly, for like so many times, I wanted to just stop and be like, okay, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
Let's just do formula so I can have a little bit more sleep, because I was always the one being like waking up with her to breastfeed her and all that kind of stuff. So there was so many times where I was like, okay, like I gotta stop. Maybe we should just do formula. Let's like maybe like try to figure that out. But I'm really glad I didn't. I'm very glad I just strictly stuck to
you pushed through.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of times where I was like,
this is too fucking much.
It is exhausting.
I'm already figuring out how to be a fucking mom.
Exactly.
And
First
then you're
time
like,
mom.
You give your body up for 9 months, and then you continue to give your body up. I shouldn't say give your body up. It's for a good cause, but it's like,
I know exactly
it's
what you
also
mean.
like you don't have autonomy. You don't have. So how was that with like, you know, you probably couldn't be away from her for too long, eh?
No, I couldn't. She was attached to me. Still is. Obviously she loves her dad, loves her whole family and everything, but she is still attached to me. If she's upset, she'll call for me no matter what. So she is like, we still have that like intense bond from the breastfeeding, I think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was, yeah.
Mom.
Exactly, yeah.
Did you ever like feel any kind of guilt that you're like, I don't know if you talk to other moms or people that are struggling, because you know, obviously like a lot of women don't have that kind of supply, that kind of experience. Yes. Like, did you ever kind of feel like a burden? Like, oh, like I feel like quitting, but like I feel like I can't now because I'm fine. Like my body will do it. It's just like mentally, like.
Yep. So
it's heavy.
It's so hard because like I was producing so much, but at the same time being like, oh, should I stop? Even though my body was perfectly fine at producing like enough milk plus more.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt bad also because some mothers don't have that like
I know
ability to be able to breastfeed. And I know that so many women want to and plan to, and then they can't. Their child doesn't latch. Their baby doesn't like it. There's a lot of things that don't work out, which is not the mother's fault whatsoever, or the baby's. It's just, like I felt a lot of guilt almost because I was making so much and wanting to stop almost. But then I was like, there's other mothers that would kill for this, like, so
experience. Yeah. But like, you also can't carry that burden either. And I know it's so difficult because like moms, it's funny. I don't know if you're on any mom groups were you on any mom groups on Facebook? Like, they are like, we're so inclusive and do what you got to do. And then it's like the second you're like a little bit different or like you have an experience somebody else wants, there's this stigma and this judgment and this shaming almost of like, fuck you, basically. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be doing this. You should. And it's like, it's too much. It's too overwhelming. I think that every woman's experience with feeding is so unique and so individualized, and no two are the same. And I think that's beautiful, but I think that's also really frustrating because it's like you want to be able to like talk to somebody else. Exactly. But if their experience isn't the same as you, then it's like it's difficult because you either feel like jealousy or you can't quite relate, or the guilt of like if like obviously like we were not really talking when we both had kids. We're friends now.
That's a story for another
time. It's a whole other story. I'm drinking too much. I'm just kidding. But like for me, I mean, obviously I shouldn't say obviously, you guys don't know my fucking life story. I did not have the same experience. So it's hard when you're like talking to someone like that because some women, I'm a girl's girl. I'm like so happy you had that experience. But I can understand also women who don't. Yeah. Or it doesn't come easy or whatever. And clearly someone from the outside who just hears that you breastfed for 2.5 years is like, oh my God, it must have been so easy for you. There's nothing that's easy about being a mom.
Not at all.
Nothing. Even the women with the most flawless breastfeeding experience, it is so mentally draining. It's exhausting. Yeah. you still have to be cautious of what you're eating, whether it's giving them gas, if you're consuming alcohol, you got to like pump and dump, whatever the situation is. I mean, some moms are comfortable drinking a little bit and feeding. Some moms are comfortable smoking marijuana and feeding. Like, there's a lot of mixed information about that online. And no judgment. It wasn't for me. I think a little bit of risk is too much risk for me.
Yeah.
But some doctors, my sister-in-law, her doctor was literally like, smoke whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sorry, what? She did. And her kid's totally fucking fine. So who knows? But yeah, I can imagine. Like, it's difficult when everyone's experience is so unique because it's hard to relate sometimes.
100%. I agree.
Even though it's the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely stressful body-wise and mind-wise, but it's totally worth it in the end. If you're able to breastfeed and you want to continue that, I would say just do it. Just do it. And if it
works for you.
Exactly. And if you are ready to stop, then just stop and subtly wean them into either formula or whatever you guys are, whatever your moms want to do.
And you're,
exactly.
You know, I don't know where the year thing came from.
I don't either.
I actually don't. I was like doing research for this episode and I was like, nothing said you must stop at a year. So I don't know where this came from. I know it's like, in a sense, it makes sense because at a year, like, that's when kids are starting to get their nutrients from solid food. You know, food before 1 is just for fun, right? But I don't know. I have friends that stopped after a month. I have friends that stopped after 18 months. I have friends that stopped after 2.5 years. I think, like we said before, like, whatever works for you,
exactly,
do it. And like, who cares what other people say? Seriously. It's not that big of a deal.
I remember, like, I grew up with a mutual friend of ours back in the day. I'm not going to mention names, obviously. But her younger sister was still breastfeeding at 4 years old. And I was looking it up online and it said that you can breastfeed up until that time or whatever. Obviously, that would not be for me. I would not want to go past, like, a certain time, like even 2, I was kind of like, okay, this is done. But I remember back in the day when obviously I wasn't a mom and I saw that the 4-year-old was still breastfeeding, I was like, oh, like,
sorry, what?
Sorry, like, excuse me, like, you're 4 and you're breastfeeding. But like now, I mean, still, I wouldn't personally do that. But like, there's such a big stigma to where you have to stop after a year or it's weird.
Yeah, right?
And then it's like, there's still,
you can understand when a kid like talks and walks and whatever, that it's different, but it's not bad.
No, exactly.
And I don't know where it came that it's like this, like, it's so taboo, it's so fucked up. You're like, I remember when we first started talking again, it's like you were almost ashamed to say,
exactly,
I'm still breastfeeding. And I'm like, girl, I'm not gonna judge you, like, whatever you want to do. But clearly you've been judged and it's a stigma, so you're scared to say it to people regardless.
Barely anyone knew. I just would keep it to myself. Jeff and I, some family members knew. Yeah. But like, she would go over to their places for, like, say, like I said, the weekend at her grandparents, and she would be completely fine without breast milk. And I think it's when she saw me, she knew and was used to that and was like, okay,
that was her comfort.
Milk. Yes, exactly. So like, she didn't need it, but she wanted it. And then I would kind of just be like, okay, like, you're crying, like, you want it before bed. So I would kind of just give in, which I wish I wouldn't have done it like that, almost, like, kind of just give in because of guilt.
Sure.
But like, she was fine without it for a very long time, but I was the comfort. So she was used to it and would say like, milk, mommy's milk and whatever. So I would.
And you feel like almost guilty, like, taking that away from her.
Exactly. And it was like such a bonding experience that, like, I don't really miss it personally, just because she is getting to that age. And if I were to have another child, I would know I would get to experience that again. But if I don't, then either way, I'm happy that I did get to have that bonding experience with her.
Yeah, I love that for you.
And that's kind of like what I was thinking for a long time. I was like, if I give this up now, am I going to miss it so much that I'm going to get back into it? Or am I just going to, like, be like accepting the fact that I'm done? Like, it was such a confusing thought in my brain. I don't even know how to explain it into words. It's just kind of like, okay, like, I don't even know.
Right. It just happens.
Yeah.
You do what feels right in the moment.
Exactly.
And that's all you can do.
Exactly.
And I know, like, for a lot of moms, I know for me, I was so naive to the experience. Like, when I was pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I know so many friends who have formula fed their kids. Formula has come such a long way.
Exactly.
Like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I'm cool with whatever. And I know my husband was like, he would prefer breast milk.
Right.
Which, fair. I mean, any research you do, breast is best.
Yes.
When it comes down to like the science of the actual liquid itself. There's so many other factors to that conversation, mama. So, like, don't take that as, like,
no,
you absolutely have to give breast milk or your kid's not going to thrive. No. Formula is just as good of an alternative if it's not going to work for you.
Exactly.
Obviously, yeah, like I said, the science is like, okay, yeah, formula digests better. You can create different hormones for the different time of day, different antibodies. But it doesn't work for all moms.
No.
And I was cool with that when I was pregnant, and then my kid comes and I'm like, okay, well, obviously I'm going to try. That was always my mindset. Like, oh, I want to try at least. And like, I know moms that are like, fuck that, 9 months is good. I don't want my body to be given to you anymore.
Right.
I want to eat my fucking raw cookie dough. I want to smoke my weed, like whatever. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I was wanting to try, so I did. Probably for about the first month, I would say. And it went fairly well. Like, my supply was good.
Right.
It was his latching mostly at night for some reason. Like, he'd wake up hangry as fuck. He was such a little shit.
I feel
I'm
that.
probably yelling. It's fine. But
Just turn that volume
he'd wake up hangry, and I was like, he would literally be on my nipple. Okay. But then he'd be like, so this is my nipple. If you guys are watching, sorry. If you're not watching, just try and visualize what I'm doing. This is my microphone's my nipple, right? Okay. He's literally on it. And then he'd take a sip, and then he'd be like, ah, and I'm like, it's literally in your fucking mouth. And this always happened at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'm trying not to get frustrated, but I'm so tired.
Yep.
And I'm like, can you just fucking take it? You're pissing me off. I don't want to get mad at you. You're literally 3 weeks old. Like, I felt so guilty. But he's literally like, he would go around it and around it and around it. I'm like, it's in your mouth. Then he'd be like, okay, cool. And then he'd be like, no, I don't know where it is. I'm mad about it. Oh, and then I get so frustrated, and then I would bawl my eyes out because it's not his fault. I'm like, I'm sorry I'm getting mad at you. Like, I wouldn't do anything to hurt him, but I'd like be frustrated. Like, can you fucking take it?
Oh, 100%.
I look at my husband who's passed out beside me.
Yep.
Fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your hormones, your emotions, you're sleep deprived. You're literally going off. So I was like, okay, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, cool, I'm just going to exclusively pump. No big fucking deal.
Yep.
So naive to that too. I was like, I was okay getting him off the boob. I was like, I'll just give him my breast milk through pumping.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode that we will do about exclusive pumping, but like, it's way more than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's way more than I thought it was. So he got off the boob. I don't even know. I can't remember the timeline, but maybe a month.
Right.
And then I was like strictly doing bottles, and I was like, cool, this is great. Ha. Ha. It's so not great. It is, but it's like, it is way more work than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
painful.
Oh, boy. You got to get the right flange size. You got to wash your shit every time you use it. There's so many dishes for someone who fucking hates dishes. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like 3-4 months in, and I was stressed out because it's like, you can't, if you miss a pump, you're going to lose your supply.
Yep.
If it goes down, I'm like extra pumping to try and build. I'm like, I'm going to have this freezer stash. I'm going to pump for 6 months and have 6 months work in my... No, that's not how this fucking works.
No.
Okay? It is not that easy. It is not that simple. I was so naive to everything. And I was like, this is great. And then I was like, okay, this is hurting my mental health. I'm exhausted. I hate being attached to something all the time. And I tried different pumps and I tried increasing my supply with all these different methods. And my supply was okay. It was getting him through. It wasn't giving me like a buffer, but it was at least getting us where we needed to be.
Right.
And I was just like, I was struggling mentally so hard. And I was so scared to say, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Even though when I was pregnant, I was like, if it happens, it happens. Formula's fine. But when it actually comes to like you and your kid, even though I know formula's fine and I don't judge anybody for using formula, I don't know why it was so difficult for myself. I think I was so scared to disappoint my husband, number one. Even though he completely understood, he was not putting pressure on me at all. But I was like, he's going to be let down. He wants breast milk. It's not up to him.
No.
But he's my partner. So it's like I wanted to like make sure he was comfortable with everything.
100%.
And then I was like, my mom breastfed me and my kid. My mother-in-law breastfed their kids. I'm like, everyone's going to be so disappointed. And then you just spiral. Right? And I was so scared. I held on for like a little while longer. And he was like, just say it. I was like, I can't even say it. He knew I was done. But I couldn't even say it out loud.
It's just sad.
Right.
Like,
I cried so much. I felt so guilty. And I'm like, now looking back, I'm like, I know my kid's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
He's fine. Like you said earlier, like a fed baby is the best baby.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that is like hands down the most important part of any kind of conversation.
Exactly.
About formula or breastfeeding. Like whatever works for you, a fed baby is the best baby.
Exactly.
Right? But then it's like, when it actually comes to you, you're
when
like,
it's your own and your own body.
Why do you feel so bad? But
I know.
He knew I was done. I was mentally checked out of it. I was done. I hated the work to put into it.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
So tiring. I know.
And like,
I know.
It's everyone's like, well, that's what being a mom is. That's what you should do. And we all feel this way. But like, it's so shitty to say out loud because are you a bad mom? Because you feel guilt, or you feel exhausted. Are you a bad mom because you don't want to? I'm like, am I a bad mom?
Literally.
We fucking switched to formula. I was so happy.
It just like flipped a switch for you, just like
it
completely
took me
better.
a minute, like, and like I don't recommend this, but I totally quit pumping cold turkey, and it was 5 days of motherfucking hell. Let me tell you, my boobs hurt so bad.
Literally.
It hurt.
I know that pain all too well.
When I was pumping, I got mastitis like twice, and it was like I was mastitis sucks. I was shivering. I was like so sick.
What is that again?
It's a clogged duct that like gets infected.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
And my nipples were like
aching,
but they were also had like a fungal infection on them.
Oh, yeah.
I did everything right, but it doesn't matter.
When it stops just like that, it's like so surprising for your body. Oh,
boy.
Especially when it's only for a couple months.
I remember there was one time I was like, it was like 2 days of me like not pumping, and I was like trying not to release, but like you're allowed to like squeeze a little bit to like release some pressure.
I know.
So I'm like, my boobs were fucking massive. Totally gone now. I know they're smaller than they were pre-pregnancy, which is fucking ridiculous.
I have something to tell you after this.
Okay. I'm almost on my story. I'm talking too long.
No.
But basically, I like looked at my husband and I was like, oh my God, watch this. So I like pulled down my thing and I like literally just lightly touched my boob and it squirts over his glasses into his motherfucking eyeball. And he was like, ah!
Stop. I can just picture Dustin being like
everywhere. Just spit everywhere.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Yeah, anyways. So like I was so much happier. It takes a minute to like not have that guilt feeling. And you know what? I was so scared of like, especially my mother-in-law, because I know she breastfed like all 4 of her sons.
Right.
That's obviously my husband's mom. But like everyone was so good about it. They so understood. And we have this in our head that it's the worst thing. You're a bad mom. Like you're this, you're that. Even though like you're not someone who's judging other moms.
Exactly.
You're putting so much pressure on yourself. And we're so scared of everyone else judging us that we're like, we don't want to do what's best for us because it feels selfish. Mm-hmm. But you can't take care of your kid if you're not okay.
Exactly.
And I was not okay. So I made this, and everyone was so good about it. as soon as I brought it up, they're like, oh my God, yes, of course, Rach. Like, you have to do what you have to do. Like,
mental health.
He's going to be fine. He's had his colostrum. He's had his antibodies. He's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot, though. It's like a lot.
It's like you get judged for not breastfeeding, but then you also get judged for breastfeeding too much or too long.
Oh my
it's
God,
like
right?
It's a never-ending cycle with certain moms. Like I can't imagine being that kind of woman, or woman.
I know.
Just being like, okay, this person didn't breastfeed at all. Like, oh, screw that mom. Like, she's a horrible mom. Or like, this mom fed or breastfed until she was 3. Like, oh, what a like.
Oh my God, they have teeth.
So
like, what are you
yucky.
doing?
Like, right? Like. No, just stop. Like, it's whatever is best for you and your child, and you need to take care of yourself before you are able to take care of your child. So, like,
Number one,
if you are
point.
not able to properly, like, just live with such painful, like, pain in your chest and, like, pain anywhere else and not be able to sleep properly or anything, like, how are you able or supposed to be able to take care of your child if that is, like, constantly like bugging you or like anything like that? It is so hard and so like difficult, and just it's like horrible that other moms feel the need to just pick and judge and stuff when it's
and they're not perfect either.
No, it has nothing to do with them. If it's it just it drives me insane.
So frustrating. It is so frustrating.
Like, oh, it just drives me insane how like
judgment.
There's women that aren't girls out there that feel the need to just nitpick at everything you do as a mom.
Yep,
and it's just 100%. Like, can you stop?
Can you fucking not
focus on yourself and your child? Like
if you're in that, if you're listening to this and you're in that right now and you're like, I'm selfish for prioritizing my mental health. No, you're not.
No, not
because
at all.
You cannot be the best version of yourself as a mother and show up the way that you want to show up for your kid if you're not okay.
100%. I 100% agree with that.
I had this like, well, other moms do it, so why can't I do it?
No.
Everyone's experience is so different.
So different.
Everyone recovers from birth differently.
Yep.
Everyone's hormones are different. Everyone's supply. You're not a clone of other moms.
No.
So like your experience is so unique to you that nobody else can tell you what you should or should not be doing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to feel bad about it. Be there for your kid. Show up for your kid, and that's all that fucking matters.
Exactly. And that's also another reason why I almost don't love like mom groups and stuff like that, just because it makes you like put it into your head. Even if you're pregnant, you're like, okay, this is how it should be. This is how it should go. This is what I should do. But when the baby comes,
and it's totally different from what you thought.
And then you start feeling guilty because other moms are able to do certain things and you're not. And so you just start feeling guilty and horrible, like, oh, I'm a bad mom. But you're absolutely not.
The fact that you even think you're a bad mom means you're not a bad mom.
Exactly. Like,
bad moms don't know they're bad moms.
Exactly.
Literally.
Holla.
Let's retweet that again.
Like,
if
really.
You think you're a bad mom, you're not a bad mom. Bad moms don't know they're bad moms.
That was like, that's exactly.
It's so fucking true.
Yeah.
It's so sad. There's so much pressure. There's so much stigma, and it's all while you're learning. We don't know. You think you have something when you're going into it. Like you said, like, it's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be this way. And then when it's not, even the moms that are throwing that judgment out at you and you think like these are the guidelines I need to follow, they're not doing everything perfectly. They're not gonna fucking admit that like they had a mental breakdown in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. and yelled at their fucking 2-month-old because they were waking up when they shouldn't have been. They're not gonna admit that. They're
100%.
We're not perfect.
No.
And we make mistakes, and like everything is so new. It's so overwhelming. So if you're not okay, it's okay not to be okay.
100%. Especially new moms. Your first child is like you're experiencing a whole new thing. It's not like your second or third where you've like, obviously every child is different. So like if you were to have a first kid or a second kid, obviously they could be completely different.
Totally.
But when you have a first child, especially in your 20s, it is just like, it is crazy. It's a new experience. Everything is just new, and you're learning how to like
navigate it.
Exactly. Like from just being like with your partner and stuff for so long, and then all of a sudden you're bringing a child into the world and you have to go like, it's so new and everything like that. It's just
And you're figuring it out while you're getting like opinions.
Exactly.
That you didn't ask for.
No, not at all.
From everyone. And everyone knows your business.
Yep.
And they don't need to. Like, if you don't want to share how you're feeding your kid, you don't need to talk about it.
No.
It's your boundary that you need to set. And I have an episode that's coming out about boundaries that's really important because it's, as soon as you become a mom, people think everything's free game.
Yep.
Like, that's actually your personal life. Like, you're not going to tell them how much food you ate. You're not going to tell them what you drank in a day. So why do you have to talk about how you're feeding your kid?
Exactly.
It's not their business. If you want to be open about it, that's great. Then be comfortable with your decisions and try not to let, easier said than done, obviously.
I know.
Try not to let outside influence, like, affect you. But yeah, it's like everyone thinks they deserve to know.
Yeah.
When they don't. They don't know the ins and outs of you. They don't know the ins and outs of your kid, your situation, you know. And there's pros and cons to everything. Obviously, like, formula is really good when you can't latch, you can't feed, or there's certain mom conditions, like depending on if you're on a specific medication that will 100%. Go through the breast milk barrier, or, you know, say you are addicted to alcohol or other drugs, or you're smoking weed a lot, like, and you can't get over that, maybe that is a good thing to use formula to protect your kid, right? There are situations where the doctors will recommend formula. Right. It is expensive, you know, so that's probably the biggest downfall.
That's also horrible too, how expensive formula is.
So expensive. That's the only thing that, like, I was, like, hating about it. And, like, we're still on a little bit of it because my kid doesn't, like, he's over a year, but he doesn't, like, love whole milk. So I'm trying to get, and he's really anti-vegetable right now, which is annoying. But, like, so I'm trying to get the vitamins and minerals morning and night. I just do a little bit still, but that's fine. I'm not worried about that.
No, not at all.
But it is so expensive.
Like, I remember when me and you were in Costco and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done buying this. And I looked at the price and I was like, that's when I start feeling, like, very grateful that I was able to breastfeed like that, because I look at the price and I'm like, how are moms, like, able to afford this? Like, it's so sad.
Especially if you don't have a choice.
No,
I made the choice.
Like, if you,
but
like, anyone, like, everyone is struggling for money right now. It's like Canada is insane. So, like, just the fact that everything keeps going up in price also means formula is going to go up in price. So, like, if you are struggling, that's, like, it's so sad how expensive things are to, like, be able to
provide for your fucking child.
Like, it's insane. Like, I know that was totally off, like, topic.
No,
but,
you're
like,
good.
I can't get over when I saw what you paid for your formula. I was like, I can't, like,
I know.
Other moms, like, I just, like, I felt so bad. I was like,
and single moms,
right?
Oh my God. If you are listening to this and you are a single parent, or you're a parent in a relationship where their fucking dad's not helpful at all,
I'm just, like, sitting here clapping.
Literally,
for you.
Like, oh my God, you're a goddamn rock star.
Really, like,
even if you're in a great relationship, you're still a fucking rock star.
Seriously, though.
Wonder Woman moms are, I can't even express how much motherhood has changed me and, like, made me appreciate moms around the board. It is so hard.
It is so hard. And when you're not a mom,
it's so rewarding, but, like, you don't know when you're not a mom.
Exactly. You're just, like, you look at other people and you're like, oh, maybe they shouldn't be doing this. They shouldn't be doing that. Yes. And then you become a mom yourself and you're like,
I'm putting my foot in my fucking mouth.
Literally, like, screw what I said when I wasn't a mom. Yes. Unless you become a mom and you do it, you don't have a single thing to say because you have no idea.
No idea.
No idea. Even, like, people that, like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, ones that even, like, say...
high horse moms?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Like, I just... Like,
I don't know if that's the right terminology.
No, I know. I know what you mean, though. Exactly. Like, I don't even know how to put it into words. It just drives me insane.
It's that aura of, like, I know what I'm doing and I give my kid the best thing. And it's like, okay, but do you cry yourself to sleep sometimes? Yeah, you fucking do. Don't tell me you don't, Janet, because, like, you fucking do, you know? And I don't understand what it is. There's a lot of moms, there's a lot of people that aren't like this, but they're not loud.
Exactly.
Right? It's the ones that are like, that give this energy of, I'm the best and I look down on you because you're feeding your kid formula and Cheerios. Ugh. And that's like, you got to do what you fucking got to do. If your kid is fed, if you love your child, if it's got a roof over its head, you're doing the right thing. Yeah. I cannot stress that enough. It is such, at the bottom line, however it looks, if you're feeding your child, that is the right way.
Exactly.
Whatever that looks for you, I will say it 1,000 times. I want to hammer this point home for moms. Because
seriously, though,
your kid is best when it's fed, and its best relationship with you is when you are doing what's best for you as well.
Exactly.
It's not selfish. It's essential.
And that is exactly why I am so grateful for you and other mom friends that get it and that aren't judgmental because they don't have children. Obviously, it's not their fault. They don't have kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, it was like us back in the day. Like, if I'm not saying I would ever, like, judge a mom like crazy.
No, but at 20 years old, I'm like, if you're not breastfeeding, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, exactly. So, like, having mom friends and other people that are moms and, like, being able to, like, express these things to them and all that kind of thing, I'm so grateful for because they get it. Everyone... Like, you get it. We can talk about for certain things, and even though we didn't go through the same experience, like, exactly. We are still able to vent and talk about it and not have any sort of, like, fear of judgment, because I would never judge you for formula feeding
and
I
would
baby.
Never judge you from
I know.
English. These cosmos. I'm telling you. I would never judge you for breastfeeding for 2.5 years.
Exactly. Like,
you
it's
know,
just...
and you were scared to, like, say that out loud the first time we, like, hung out again, and I was like,
it's like everyone.
You do you. Like,
barely anyone knew except for, like I said, Jeff, a little bit of family members, and then no one knew. I was just like...
that's unfortunate, and it's sad, and it's like, as much as we can sit here and be like, don't let other people judge you, we went through it. We felt like we couldn't speak our minds or, like, do what we wanted to do at first because of the fear of being judged, but it's the possibility that gets you. Mm-hmm. And then you do, and you realize people are supportive. I hope all of you are surrounded by people who are supporting you. And if you're not, reach out to us. We got you.
Honestly,
don't get on those fucking mom Facebook groups and don't post shit because they say they're inclusive, but they're not fucking inclusive.
Not whatsoever. You will get comments upon comments. Oh my
goodness, you're doing everything wrong no matter what you do. You're doing everything wrong.
Like, literally, we are an inbox away.
An inbox away.
Like,
find us. We'll post our Instagrams. Like, we got you.
100%.
If you're feeling alone, as much as in motherhood you're surrounded by people 24/7, it can feel so lonely.
Lonely, yeah.
Because no one truly understands, and we can't truly understand your situation because your situation is yours and ours is ours. But I promise you, if you can find people you can talk to that are not judgmental, that are at least just going to listen, that's going to help you so much in this life.
100%. 100%. And obviously, we don't have all the answers.
No.
We're still first child.
Not perfect.
Like, our children, yours is just turned 1. Mine is turning 3 in September. So obviously, they're not old, and we're not, like, we don't know everything.
We're not the gurus.
But we still are there to listen and talk and give you what we've experienced and our advice. So
totally.
Like, yeah.
And our way's not the right way.
No,
and your way's not the right way.
There's no right.
We've said it 1,000 times. Whatever works for you is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And hands down, if you take anything away from this episode, I hope that's it.
Exactly.
If it's working for you and your baby is fed, amen to that.
Exactly.
End of fucking conversation.
Yes.
Okay. So, I want to wrap up our episode I do these rapid fire mom questions. So MOM. So M is your most memorable moment as a mom so far. It can be tear-jerking, it can be funny, it can be annoying, whatever stands out to you.
That's hard. So, like, the most, like, memorable.
What memory sticks out in your brain of, like, something Rory did in your life?
Well, I mean, she is the absolute smartest 2.5-year-old you will probably ever meet. And I say that because I'm her mom. So obviously, if you have a 2.5-year-old, you're going to say the same. But to me, she is so smart. She can sing every song. So honestly, just thinking on the dot is the movie Frozen. This is just like right on my brain, is that she can sing every single song from that movie just from hearing it on our phones in the car or anything like that.
Every word.
If she watches like a freaking little episode or like once in a while the movie, she knows every single word to every song, and she will stand there and sing to you, and she will not miss a word. And obviously she doesn't speak the best, but she's very good at speaking. You'll know exactly what she's saying, and she sings so well. It's insanity, and
I love that.
It like literally makes me tear up. And I just she is so smart, and that's one of the things that just popped into my brain. There's so many more, but
I love that.
Just the fact that she can just like hear a song and sing it, and she's really into 60s music. She loves anything from the 60s.
Okay, 70s. Fuck Baby Shark.
Right? Like literally she would prefer to listen to, I can't remember his name right now, but the guy that sings King of the Road. If you know, from the 60s. I can't remember his name, but she knows all the words to that song as well.
She's an old soul.
She's an old soul, literally in a 2-year-old's body. It is the best thing ever.
She's so cute.
I love her. Okay.
Opinion. So what's something you had in your mind an opinion of before you became a mom that changed after you became a mom?
Honestly, probably breastfeeding.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, honestly, and like, just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, we already pretty much put it into words, but like the breastfeeding thing is almost like I would expect every mom to breastfeed because they're able to. And then when I became a mom, people that aren't,
you're like, not that fucking easy.
No, not whatsoever. So that's probably like, that's what's on my brain right now.
Yeah, of course.
Like, there's so many though. If I were to like take the time to like count, there'd be so many, but I know like we're on a podcast, but like that's the first thing that comes into my brain.
Mine's just totally like screens. I was like, I am never gonna put my kid on screens.
That's
my
a good
baby's
one.
never gonna watch TV. And then became a mom, and I was like, here's some fucking Miss Rachel.
That's
let me wash the dishes.
That's such a better answer, because like I literally agree. I would always say like, no, I don't want her in front of screens.
No,
I don't want her to have a tablet. I don't want her to do all of this kind of thing, like all of this stuff. Right? But she does.
I'm never doing that.
It's different. She doesn't have a tablet right now, so she can't just sit and play. She does, like, will have the TV on, though, but she is still able to do other things. Like, she won't just sit and be focused on the TV and be like, okay, nothing else. Like, she'll still want to play. She'll still want to color. She'll still want to do all of the regular things, but just have that kind of as a background. And then she's
good.
Yeah, like, she doesn't just sit there in front of the TV. I would never allow that anyways. That would just drive me insane. Like, no, we gotta do your colors, your numbers, and everything, which she knows all anyways. But she is, screens are a big thing also. That should be another thing we talk about eventually.
Yeah, right? And then M is, at this stage, what is the most annoying thing your kid does? If you can pick one.
Oh my God, there is like, I
hate my kid.
Literally, there's so many things, but at the same time, I can't think of one right now. Probably like, just like, for example, say I'm doing the dishes. She will be completely fine. Like, just playing and stuff will be completely fine. And then I'll get up and be like, okay, mommy needs to clean the dishes. Mommy needs to, like, cook you breakfast. And right as soon as I do that, she just needs me.
Oh, of course.
She needs me as soon as I'm either cleaning the dishes, sweeping the house, like, doing anything like that.
But you could be sitting on the couch while she's playing and she's totally fine.
Exactly.
But the second you want to do something,
she'll be just completely fine. I'll just be like, say, for example, just, like, check my phone for a couple of minutes. I'll go on to, like, Facebook and check, and she'll be completely fine. But the second I say, mommy needs to go do this, mommy needs to clean the dishes, which is literally right around the corner from the living room where she plays. She just is like, mommy, come here, which I can't not. I have to go. I'll dry my hands and go. But that's the one thing.
It's taking me an hour to do something that would take me 10 fucking minutes.
Or there's another thing, is brushing the teeth. She either goes from she does every single night morning. I have to make sure she does, because it will drive me insane.
Right.
But it's the nighttime.
Also dentist bills.
Oh my gosh, really though. So she will be completely fine one day, and she will brush her teeth completely fine. Obviously, we'll help her because she'll miss some spots.
Sure.
But she'll be brushing her teeth. We'll sit on the counter and whatnot, and then she'll be fine. We'll give her some water. She'll spit in the sink. She's very, very good with that. And then the next day, she'll just scream and scream and scream if we bring up brushing your teeth. She will just be like, no, no, no. And then the next day, she'll be completely fine.
Oh, man, I'm so glad my kid can't talk yet.
Right? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's good luck. So that's like the little bit I can think of. But
I love
there's
that.
some frustrating things, but those are the two main that came to the top of my head. It's just,
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I am so happy we had this conversation today.
Me
I think
too.
it is so important that moms know it's like, it's not just like black and white.
No.
And it's not just like, okay, there are so many facts about the physical liquids itself. And
Yeah.
all experts will say breast is best. And if you can do it, do it. But I think it's important to know, even if you can do it, I had a preconceived notion, like, before we got into all this, like, I didn't know half of the stuff that you expressed today. I thought it was totally easy for you. Right? And it just goes to show you that even if you can do it for 2.5 years, it doesn't mean there are times that you don't struggle.
Oh, no, not
and
at all.
you're allowed to fucking struggle because you're human.
Yes.
And
And you're literally human. Like,
Yeah.
you're not like some, like...
You're not a goddamn robot
No.
pumping out milk machine. That's the only thing you're good for. No.
It's hard.
It's totally hard.
It's hard. It will always be hard. But
So,
like
yeah.
you said, like, just...
Fed baby is the best baby.
Exactly.
And that is the point of the end of this episode that we want to drive home. And I hope you figure it out, mamas. I hope you're doing well. And if you're not, seek the help that you need. And don't be afraid to figure out an alternative if you're struggling.
And
Okay?
ask for help. Don't be
Totally.
ashamed to ask
Reach
for help, because that
out.
was my issue also. It's not wanting to ask for help, not wanting to ask for advice and all that stuff. So do not be ashamed to ask for that kind of help and advice, because I promise you, especially like people like us, we will not judge. We will help, or doctors or anything like that. Just don't be ashamed or embarrassed.
Figure out what's best for
Don't.
you, because your kid will thank you later.
Exactly, 100%.
Totally. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for chatting with me.
You're welcome.
I love
Rachie.
that. Take care, mom friends. We love you. Mwah. Disclaimer. In no way do the conversations on this podcast replace the advice of health professionals. We are just speaking from our own experiences and what has worked for us. So speak to your midwives, OBs, or family doctors when necessary. When listening, always remember that every mom and every child is different, and what may work for one person might not work for another. There is no one way is the right way when it comes to parenting. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Mom Friends. Please like and subscribe to us so we can grow our beautiful motherhood community together. Talk soon. Mwah.